Firstly, I just would like to acknowledge the country that we're on today of our team and our office, where most of us are in the office today. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and my elders past, present and emerging. So what I would like to do is, because we've got loads of you all from around everywhere at the moment, and you're all in a different country around Australia. So what I would like to do is I'd like to take a minute to get you to put all where you're from, which country you're on, or who your mob is in the chat box. But we're going to do a countdown. I want to see a waterfall in that little chat box. So I'm going to count. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to write it in, and then we're going to send it as soon as I say 3, 2, 1, go. And then I'm going to see them all trickle down in there. Okay? All right. Ready? I'll give you a couple seconds to write it in there. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, look at that. Wow. Oh God, that's awesome. That's so cool. From Wurundjeri, from Wadawurrung country. Look where you're all from. We've got locals on Whadjuk Noongar. Got people all around. Joining from Auckland, but your mob is Wadandi Noongar. How cool. This is really cool. Thanks for joining, everyone. So you'll probably hear a couple little doorbells. That's just other people trickling in as well. So we'll let them in as they come. So thanks for that. That's really wicked. It's great to see where everyone's joining from. Feel free to have a little read in the chat box on the side and see where people are from, if you see mob from your area or places that you haven't seen before. So my name is Kat. I'm a Balladong Noongar from the Wheat Belt, from Northern Mantooja, and I am the program manager of the Indigenous Mapping Workshop Australia program. Most of you probably know it as IMW. So today we're talking about the IMW On Demand program. So in 2019, we converted our in-person workshops to an online platform when the world went all up because of COVID. And as with everyone, we realized the need for remote location and training. And it was particularly important for us because a lot of our mob are regionally located, and we need to make that training accessible for everyone. So not only was it COVID initiated, but it really highlighted an important point for our training. So last year, we started to return our in-person workshops. For those of you that aren't familiar, we do training on mapping software, so like Google Earth, QGIS, drones, and we also talk about data foundations, so things like data sovereignty and keeping your data safe. So yeah, we returned to in-person workshops last year with our national IMW in NUM, which was great. I can see a couple familiar faces that attended last year, which is really awesome to see you back. And now we're back to cover all of our bases and return to online learning as well as our in-person workshops. So we've done a bit of a refurb because we closed IMW On Demand last year when we were getting our space back together with the in-person workshops, but now we're ready to get that on board again. So I'm hoping most of you are familiar with our training, but it's developed for mob by mob. Our team is majority Indigenous, and we are doing this program to help bridge that digital divide. So before we continue, I just want to thank you again for participating from whatever reason that you're joining us today. If it's that you want to participate in the training or that you're planning to be able to then share that with your friends and family and your mob around Australia. But thank you for supporting us today and coming and in supporting the Indigenous success in the digital space. So I'm going to hand back over to Francie to keep us going. So I don't want to tick on for too much longer and waste all of our time.
Alrighty. Yeah, thanks, Cass, for that welcome. And hi, everyone. My name's Francie. I'm on the marketing and events team. And over the next 90 minutes, you'll be hearing from a number of us. We've structured it so that the first hour is like presentation format, and then the last half an hour is a Q&A panel discussion. In saying that, Julie, I can see that you've raised your hand. So is there something that you wanted to say now? Because I just want to give you that opportunity. No. All right. Awesome. Ooh, brilliant. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick round robin and introduce you to everyone that's here today, and just a quick overview of what they're going to be talking about. So we've got Andrew here, who's our Managing Director. Andrew, if you can just give a little hi to everyone. And he's going to be chatting with Yukio and River. They're currently our interns, and they've done IMW On Demand as well. So they're an IMW On Demand learner. So they'll just be talking about their experience with the online learning platform, and yeah, a little bit about the internship program that they're doing. Cass, you've already met. She is our program manager, our marketing and operations officer. She does a lot. She's going to be going over the term structure of IMW On Demand. We've just changed things up a little bit since 2 years ago now, when we took the platform down. We've got Tim, who is our senior IT guy. He's just going to be doing a quick run through of the platform so you can see what it looks like if you are accepted and you become an IMW On Demand learner. Grady's here as well today, and he's our chief drone pilot and also the latest course author. He's also an IT consultant at Winyama. And Cassie and Amelia are also on the marketing team. Cassie today is just going to be going over some resources we've created for our learners, and Amelia is going to give you all those key dates and important things to know before we wrap up the presentation portion of this event. Yeah, okay, so that's everyone. And I'm just going to go over a couple of event etiquette things before I hand over to Tim. So everyone's done this already, but unless you're talking, just keep your mics muted. And then, yeah, ideally, we just would like the questions at the end. But if you do have anything, you can just pop it in the chat and we can get to it. And then, yeah, please keep communication respectful. We're all an awesome bunch, so I know we're not going to have any problems with that. All right, I'll hand over to Tim to give us a run through of On Demand.
Cool, thank you, Francie. I'm just going to get myself set up, just a minute to start presenting. Just let me know, Francie, when that's coming through clear. How's that?
It's coming through.
Beautiful. All right. So I won't waste any time. We'll dive in. So hello, everyone. My name's Tim, and I'm basically just going to walk you guys through the platform and show you guys what you can expect if you get accepted and if you want to come and learn with us on IMW On Demand. So I'm going to kick off my walkthrough as your application has just been accepted to IMW On Demand. So when you're invited to IMW On Demand, a new learner account is going to be created for you. So you'll get an email just like that. Once you open it up, there's going to be a button in this email where you can set a new password for your account. So once you click that, it's going to open a new tab. You'll just have to pop a strong password in here and then click submit down the bottom. And once you've successfully set a password, there's a further link below at the bottom of the menu, which will direct you to IMW On Demand, where you can sign in. So to sign in, you'll just have to enter the email address you registered with and your new password and click submit. So just like this, pop the email in that top box, just like that. Ignore all of my little autofill suggestions that come up, and then pop in a password. And then once you log in for the first time, you're going to be taken to this personal dashboard page where you can see your enrolled courses. But of course, when you log in for the first time, you're not going to be enrolled in any courses just yet. you'll have to do that yourself. So to enroll in your first course, you can just click this Explore Courses button here, and this is going to take you to our courses page. So on the courses page, you can read a quick guide on what courses might be right for you. So there's a fair bit of text up the top for you to have a read through. And if you scroll right down to the bottom of this page, you will see our full course catalog and be able to view all of the courses that you can enroll for. So you can click on any course card in that little course catalog there and read more about the course. Here, you're going to find a quick summary of the course contents and what you can expect to learn. So here's a quick example of deadly data. There's a quick description up the top, and there's a full about and what you will learn, plus course syllabus. So to enroll in a course, you just click the button at the top of the page to enroll in the course. And once you've done that, you'll then see a new button where you can view course. And if you click on that, that's basically going to take you to this course landing page where you can access all of the content. So there's nothing gated, like you don't have to wait for course content to be released. As we kind of say in the title of the platform, it's all on demand. So the second you've enrolled, you'll have all of that course content there ready for you to explore. So from the course page, you're going to see a menu on the left with a breakdown of the course structure. You can click on any of those items. So for example, I clicked on the introduction there to navigate to any specific content quickly. So maybe if you've jumped back into a course after having a quick break and you know that you're further along, you can quickly jump through and navigate using that menu on the left. Once you click on these items, it's going to open up the course units, which will contain text, images, videos, activities, and more for your course. You just have to simply click to navigate your way through the course. So all of our courses come with discussion forums that you can use to communicate with other learners and staff. Each course will come with a general topic area, as well as some specific topics that the course staff might have published for you to jump on there and message and interact with. You can create posts and interact with your peers here at any time. If you need any help, we recommend you check out the frequently asked questions page from the top navigation menu. Here you can find some quick answers to common questions our learners have had in the past. So if you just have a scroll, it's got the full question list. But you'll also see, once you click on that link, there's also that search bar in the top right-hand corner. You can quickly search, just pop in some specific terms or maybe your full question, and it will try and match the text to any of the questions we've got on the page. And if the FAQ page didn't answer your question or you have other support needs, you can contact us at any time by filling out the form on the Contact Us page. You just have to enter the requested information in the fields provided and click on Submit. Finally, it's important to know where you can access your account settings. So you can click your profile icon in the top right-hand corner. It'll look like a little person outline. And from this menu, you can access your account settings. So from here, you can update your personal information, configure location regional settings, reset your password, and delete your account. And worth noting as well, that personal information that's in here is not shared with anybody. There's just like your name. And if you do set a picture, that'll be shared in the discussion forum. And that's it from me. So that should have covered all of the platform basics, so you know exactly what to do when you receive your invitation for IMW On Demand. If you have any questions to me, I'll be around on the panel discussion and hear from you guys then. But next up, we'll have Cass to walk us through course terms. So it's over to you, Cass.
Thanks, Tim. It was so smooth. It was just crazy. Like it was just so smooth. I love the way you talked through that. It was great. So mine is super quick. It's just a little update on some of the changes that we've made with IMW On Demand. So as Tim mentioned, our course is self-paced, so you can complete it at your own time, whether it's midnight after you put the kids to bed or first thing in the morning on your lunch break, whenever. We have added a new addition to our IMW program. So for the online learning component, there's now terms that you can complete it by, which is essentially 2.5 months from when you enroll, and you can complete the course at any period within those 2.5 months. So you won't lose any login details or anything like that if you don't complete the course within that 2.5 months. All it means is that when the term resets, unfortunately you just have to start from the beginning, but you still have access to everything. You don't have to reapply for the program or anything like that. Now you're probably wondering why we've implemented that. There's a couple reasons. One is really, one of it is administrative for us. It helps us in the back end to make sure that you're all getting through the program and also helping you succeed, and also keeping up to date and collaborating with you more. So that's like the discussion forums and reaching out to you for support. The other part of it is that it sets a little bit of a goal for everyone. So that way we're working through a team or solo and individually. You have a bit of an option there and a time frame to complete it by, which I know, like for myself, if I was doing online learning with no intention or goal, I probably just would never finish it. So it just gives us a little bit of an indication to keep going forward. And then the other part of that, which is probably the most exciting bit for me, is that we're working very diligently in the back end to have our program higher education certified. So what we're doing is we're working to have that credited towards an actual qualification. And part of that, we need to have some kind of guidelines in there about when it's completed by. So that's why we've implemented these term structures. So that's just a little bit of a background into that. The term structures will be available on our website, which, another little plug, we have just recently refurbished. So if you are a long time Winyama follower, you will have a look at our website and go, whoa, that looks so cool, with all our jazzy little features on there, because it is officially published now. And the applications and term dates are all on there on our IMW On Demand page. So at the end in the little panel, I'll do a little share of screen and show you guys where to find all of that. So yeah, a good point of this really is that with the term dates, and that's still that self-paced component, is if you're working in the Indigenous community or land estate, particularly remotely, you still have that flexibility to be able to chime in whenever you need to. Aside from that, I'm just trying to think of what else there was that I needed to mention. Yes, the other very big important bit is that applications are currently open on our website for IMW On Demand. So once you go on our On Demand page, you can apply. And then the next term will start in a couple of weeks. So the 13th of May is when you'll be able to start commencing all of that learning and go through all of those courses that Tim just showed. So a couple of them in there that he showed already, like Deadly Data, which is one of my favorites. Then you've got like the Google Earth Pro, another favorite of mine. And then you start stepping into things like QGIS, etc. So a really big exciting bit is that we are launching a new drone course. So I'm going to hand over to Grady, who's going to tell you all about that.
Hey everyone, I'll just get set up. Cool. Let me know if that comes through clearly, just so everyone can see the slideshow.
Yeah, come through on my end, Grady.
Cool, awesome. So my name's Grady. I'm a Menang Noongar man from down near Albany Way, and I'm the chief drone pilot and trainer here at Winyama. So just a little bit of the background of my kind of history. I started off at Kent Street Senior High School studying aviation. So I had a lot of a passion as a kid, kind of in aviation and those kinds of fields. After a while, I moved off and did a bunch of electrical engineering, which gave me a lot of ideas on how a lot of the technology you have around us works. Around 2016, I brought those two together and built my first drone, which was a pretty proud moment for me. It's very, very informative going through it. A lot of problems at first, but you know, you learn and you get through it. And that was really informative and kind of gave me the idea of what drones can do in the modern kind of ecosystem. So you might be asking, why are drones relevant now? And what are some of the use cases that we have for these? So the last few years have seen a boom in the accessibility and the use of drones in remote vehicles. And this has led to their adoption in a lot of fields. And here at Winyama, we've seen an increase in not only the demand for drones, but also more people wanting to know how to operate them and how to use them to really help them out with the tasks and jobs that they have. So some of the activities that we currently use drones for are things like mapping and map data collection, using that drone to take photography and images and putting them together into maps that we can use to track changes over time, and also things like environmental health. Surveying and site analysis, taking measurements and understanding how the site comes together so we can track that over time. Equipment inspections, managing resources that we might have out in the bush, looking after power lines, things like that, and all of that kind of industry that we have out there. Media capture, including videos and images. So taking images, promotional stuff, the media, being able to show off country and see things like that too, to give people that view that they might not always see. And also identification and monitoring of plant species, things like that, where how we can actually have a look at the health of our environment and over time see those changes through plants as well. Something that can be a little bit hard for us to see if we're just on the ground looking. And also monitoring of heritage and sacred sites. If we can put together a library of data over time as the site changes over the years, we can see when there's been potential animal impacts or other impacts like that from the environment on that. So throughout the drone course, you'll be able to identify a drone and its uses. And we've kind of broken it down into 4 main ideas to kind of really get some of those basics across to new pilots. So there's not so much of a worry on things you'll have to learn and all the process around it, but to really tailor down to those main aspects that you might want to learn. So the main things we've covered first is identifying a drone and its uses. What is a drone good for and what can we use it for out in the field? And what are the parts of a drone so that we as pilots can feel comfortable that we know our machine and we know what we can do with it. Also things like drone law and licensing. How can we make sure that in Australia's aviation ecosystem, we fit in and where we fit into that? What our requirements are to make sure that we can always take our drone out, fly safely, but also within the legislation we have around us. We've also got one of the most important topics I find, drone photography fundamentals. Flying a drone is a little bit like operating a camera, and as drone pilots, we have a lot of those skills that we use as well. So getting an idea around that, how to take the best footage and how to really make the best of the opportunities that you have out in the field. And also maintenance. How do we look after our rig that we've got? And how do we make sure that it'll be ready for the next job? So that when we have more things that we want to do and when we're really stepping it up, we can look after the machine and make sure it'll always be there for us. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you online. I'm going to pass you off to Cassie, who's going to talk about orientation and graduation. Thanks.
Hi guys, my name's Cassie. I hope you're enjoying the relaunch so far. I'm one of the marketing officers here at Winyama, and I'm a Badi woman from One Arm Point. This year, we've got some new features on the On Demand platform that we've not done before, but it's to help everyone keep engaged and also keep us accountable for, keeping one-on-one contact with you. Can we get the next slide? Sorry, Grady. All right, so this year we've done an orientation pack. We've got a graduation pack and a journey booklet. I personally have loved doing the journey booklet because it's getting you guys to keep track of what you've done throughout your study. There's a lot of nifty things in there, especially the brain teasers, which are on demand related. So keep an eye out with what you're doing. So the orientation pack will include information such as learner support guide. This will help you guys get information where for yourself or who your cohort is and discover who your support team is and how you can contact us best. And the journey book, so to keep track of your progress and, just keep something that, you can be proud of at the end of your studies. The graduation pack is different. We have never done this before. And it provides basically a transcript of all the courses you've completed, a LinkedIn badge with a how to download it, and a certificate and many little goodies that you will have to wait and see. So graduate and then you get nice little goodies. So circling back to the support, there is a document provided that shows who our support are, what roles we have, and the description of how we can help. This is also found in the FAQ page that is on our On Demand website. Thank you. I will now pass you over to Andrew, who will ask Yukio and River about their experience as interns and their journey for On Demand.
Thanks, Cassie, and hi everyone. I'm the little talking head down in the bottom there. I'm the managing director for Winyama, so it's a really proud day for me to see our team pull all of this together. And obviously it's been a massive journey for us over the past 4 or 5 years to get all of our courses together and get them upline on this space. And one of the great things for us is to be able to train our staff and bring young staff in who've never done any mapping training before. And we've really found that the on-demand platform helps really early learners to kind of begin their mapping journeys. And so for this little bit of the segment, I wanted to talk with 2 of our interns who've just joined us this year, and that's Yukio and River. And yeah, I'm just going to ask them a few questions about their experiences working with us and their experiences on the platform, so you get a sense of of that as well. So you guys, River, maybe I'll ask you first, and then Yukio, you could follow. So can you just give us a quick introduction on who your mob is, and just a bit of your background and how you ended up as a Winyama intern?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear us?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, cool. So I'm a Gidja man from raised and born in Noongarland, Wajak, and my background's just like I just come out of high school. I got a Cert 3 in aviation and a remote pilot's license, and I ended up at Winyama through a mutual contact between Andrew and myself, and he just introduced him to me and ended up getting an internship. I'll sort of Yukio.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Yukio. I'm a body man from just north of Broome, so up one ways. So I actually did uni for 3-4 years, thanks to COVID, and I graduated with a background in conservation and wildlife biology. And when I finished, I sort of didn't know what I wanted to do. Had a few things on the go with one of my friends who actually still works here. He's Amos Smith, so he put me in contact with Andrew, and I spoke to Andrew a couple of times, and yeah, ended up getting an internship here for the rest of my learning experience.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yeah, so for everyone, you get a sense that we've brought these guys into the company as interns, and maybe you guys can just talk about how the IMW On Demand training kind of helped you when you first started here. Maybe Yukio, you could talk about how our training differed from like online courses that you might have done during COVID at university. And then River, you can talk to a bit to that too.
Yeah. I found that the IMW On Demand training was like probably the best thing that I could have done to like start learning about it. Like it's super like straightforward to understand, and just overall really good introduction. And I've been able to like using that like be able to work on like projects and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, look, I think coming from a background that doesn't really have anything to do much to do with, I guess, like, spatial mapping, was actually quite a big help going into a learning environment where you could simply do a course that has a real world practical application. And I guess that's sort of where it differs from universities. A lot of the learning that I did was really theoretical, a lot of writing. So when you come out of that into the real world, doesn't really hold too much weight unless you really want to be a research scientist. So yeah, I think it was a lot more helpful than actually a lot of my degree.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And how are you guys now like using the knowledge from your internship? You talked, River, you talked a little bit about how you've already started jumping onto projects, but how did that kind of transition happen for you, and how quick was it?
Yeah, so I did. I finished the IMW training after about a week and a bit, and after that, after doing like a few internal trainings, I ended up jumping on a project like within the month, I think. Nothing too like intense, but just helping out with some like basic symbology and like creating features, stuff like that. That's really my experience. Do you have anything?
Yeah, look,
Just the same, really?
yeah, I guess I started with all of the basic stuff. So doing deadly data first, then into like the QGIS 1, working through QGIS 2 and so on. And it really did help with, I guess, the fact that I had 2 weeks sort of between that and my project. Yeah, it allowed me to sort of go into other areas to develop a little bit more. But yeah, I knew nothing when I started, and at the end of like that 2-week period, I sort of was comfortable enough to be able to do maybe 1 or 2 things just simply by working further on that. Yeah, it's helped me a lot.
Okay, so hard question for you, but yeah, because I know you guys did the whole course, the whole set of courses, but which one was the one that you guys would recommend for people when they're starting out?
I think we both agree that deadly data is a good starting point, just to kind of like make sure you've got your data handling stuff in check.
Yeah, I guess after that, it's sort of up to you what you feel more comfortable with. Obviously, there's QGIS, ArcGIS Pro, and Google Earth. And oh yeah, they did. Sorry. But yeah, it's sort of whatever you're comfortable with, or whatever you want to look at first, or you're interested by, just really go for it. But always sort of start at that course 1.
Just why just so that people understand, deadly data is like data basics, but what did you guys get out of that course in particular? Like what is the big learning from that first course?
Look, I guess looking at things like ICIP, like intellectual property, I think that's a big thing coming into like spatial mapping. Yeah, I think that as well as that, like we have a lot of knowledge from Aboriginal owners and ranger networks that isn't really passed down through written text. It's always word of mouth and through songlines and stuff like that. It's always about like capturing that sort of information and putting it into like a digital format. And going forward, that's going to be really important for, I guess, yeah, your intellectual property, and even maybe native title applications and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and River, I'm just interested to know about deadly data for you. Like, what was your kind of big takeaway?
I'm gonna be honest. I have very little memory of it. Yeah.
That's what happens when you put you on the spot. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the learning wins that you got from the platform. We can just like think about what were the positives off the back of it for you guys?
Oh, just knowing how to use some of the applications. I'm not gonna lie, I had no knowledge of quite a few like QGIS and Google Earth. Even just learning where certain buttons were, certain things, and how to do maybe just importing a layer, no idea. So that's my little win. I think just being able to do that to start with, you take baby steps, and then working from there, you can just build on that knowledge base. And yeah, it's been real good.
Personally, just being able to like jump on a project like so quickly, like I find like when I'm doing project work, I learn quicker and like more things while I'm doing that. Just some people learn differently, but that's just my personal experience.
That's awesome, guys. And so last question, then we'll sum up. But like, can you share some advice for people like on the call today about who are wanting to apply for the IMW On Demand? Like, what's your advice for them to begin their journey?
Yeah, I guess like sign up, make an application. Yeah, if you think you're going to be interested in something like this, then definitely go have a look at it. I know maybe you feel uncomfortable with some of the information or how to use some of the software. So yeah, I think it's really important that maybe you just take a look. You never know what'll happen. You might really enjoy it, and you might want to continue with that, I guess, learning experience.
And like I try not to be intimidated by it. Like I guess if you haven't started, like you don't know anything about it at all, this is a really good point to start at. Like I came in not having any information about it at all, and now I'm working on projects. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. Thanks so much for sharing those experiences. And you guys both, you know, young superstars of our team. So I'm super proud of your efforts and how far you guys have come. So it's awesome. So yeah, I'm going to pass back over to Amelia to finish up the presentation portion of this event. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Hello. So coming up next, we have the discussion panel with some of our Winyama staff. This will be a great time to ask any questions you have about the platform, the application process, course content, our in-person workshops, sponsorship, and any other topics you'd like to discuss. It will be an open discussion, but please keep in mind that the event is being recorded. So if there is something you'd like to discuss, but you don't feel comfortable with it being recorded, you can always reach out to us after the event through our Contact Us page on our new website. Before I hand over to Cass to kick off the discussion, I just have a few important announcements. So in the next few days, you'll receive a recording of this event and a link to the application form to sign up for the platform. We have built this platform for Indigenous persons, organisations and communities, as well as those who work on behalf of Indigenous organisations and communities. Your participation is what makes events like these possible. So we'll also be sharing a quick feedback survey, and we'd love to hear from you so that we can continue to learn and grow. Finally, a reminder that applications to access IMW On Demand are officially open. A link to apply can be found on our website. And now I'll hand over to Cass.
Thank you. I'm sure you probably all got a little bit confused when we handed over to Cassie and we're like, wait a minute, the wrong one's talking. But there is two of us. So I can see that there's already some questions in there. So maybe we'll just jump in and answer a couple of those. I can see, so one of them was from Annalise, and she wanted to know if there was a cost involved. And no, there is not a cost involved. Our IMW On Demand program is free for accepted applicants. As per for like how many students we accept, it depends on our applications each year. For the most part, we're pretty open-ended as long as you meet our application criteria, which is quite flexible. How many intakes per year? We have 4. This year we've started a little bit late because we're relaunching the program a bit more into the year, so there'll be 3 this year, but generally there will be 4. So yeah, that's the answer to those questions. Thank you for your question. Then we've got, how long does it take to complete each module? So that one's a bit subjective, so I think we'll pass that one over to maybe River and Yukio, so they can give their suggestion about how long it took them, and see what they say.
So it probably took myself and Yukio a bit less time than it would for the average person, because like obviously we had like 8 hours a day to do it like straight. So it took probably half a day-ish to do one course at probably 4 hours. But obviously like you go at your own pace. So just you take as long as you want, really.
Yeah, I think you can always go back throughout the modules as well. So I think that's quite interesting point. Like you may get towards the end, but you still want to go back and take a look at what you've just done. Because obviously, short-term memory probably isn't the greatest sometimes. So yeah, it really is subjective on how you want to approach it, and that kind of goes out and then into how long it's going to take you. But saying that it's not going to take you forever to complete one module. Like obviously, if you did half an hour every day, you'd probably be able to do it in 3 days easily with just that little time frame. But like, yeah, it depends on how fast you work, your capabilities. But yeah, even starting from scratch, like you should be fine anyway.
Yeah. And it also depends on the course. So ones like Deadly Data would be probably, it's one of our smaller courses, so you'd be able to smash that out reasonably quickly, put your attention to it. But for our bigger courses like Introduction to QGIS, where you have a lot of components where you're actually making maps and playing with the program, then that one might take you a little bit longer. Then we've got a next question is, will there be a course on developing mapping projects into apps? I'm going to hand that one to either Andrew or Tim. Oh, Tim's raising. Tim. Go, Tim.
No, I love this question from Noel. There currently isn't. However, I know there's definitely perfect scope to run a course like this. A couple of options, like I know there's a QGIS plugin where you can convert basically your little mapping project into website files that you could then host somewhere. And I could definitely see like a self-hosted web map app course in our future. And yeah, it'd be awesome to kind of, I mean, it depends on the cloud platform we use, but we love AWS here. So something like that I could definitely see as being a course. But stay tuned, because not yet.
Yeah. Here's the boss. Here's Tim promising stuff, that we don't have at the moment. But yeah, the thing about the courses that we do offer, that we do have apps, field apps that we've got inside some of the courses. So that is like the the ODK course that we currently have. We're developing ones like Fulcrum, and so these are apps that you can just download on your phone, and then your field collection kind of forms sit in those those kind of apps, I guess. But yeah, app development, app building, probably not the space that we're fully concentrated on. We're more in the GIS and mapping kind of space. So if that's what you meant by apps, yes, like field apps and things that you can take out on your phone, yes, we have them currently within the course, and we're definitely developing them out. And as you can see, Tim's very enthusiastic about extending our courses and all the stuff that people would like in it.
Cool. So another question there is, do you offer certified drone training in person for groups interstate? So that is a question, I think, again, for Andrew and Grady.
Grady, you can go.
Yep. So we do a lot of drone training in person, and we're definitely happy to travel around Australia. A lot of that training, like we do some classwork where we sit down, we go through a lot of the practical stuff. So make it pretty open and easy for people, but we always bring a lot of props with it as well to make it, enjoyable. We also do a lot of flying and things in those times as well. So you get those practical skills, not just a lot of classroom work.
Yeah, I might just add to that. So the drone courses that we teach, they're not the CASA certified training courses. So you're not a drone pilot after you finish our course. But what we found, and the reason why we've built that course, is because the CASA certified training is complex. It's quite intensive. It's like a week training, and you've really got to pass, because you've spent I think about $3,000 to do it. So our course is really, you should think of our courses like study prep for that course. So we get you hands-on with the drone. We break down some of the principles of flight. So instead of like using, I don't know, some Italian blokes, Bertolli's principle of flight, we think about like how we've made boomerangs and how we've kind of, how we translate the concepts into local knowledge here in Australia. So So yeah, our courses for drones are really for people who haven't touched them at all and want to work towards getting a certified drone license, but they want to begin. And I think for a lot of our mob, that's kind of a good place to start. Familiarizing themselves with the equipment, and then also like having some practical experience, like Grady was saying, but then sitting down in the classroom as well and getting through some of the concepts that you need if you go to the licensed CASA certified drone training. So I hope that answers that for you guys.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I'm also just going to do a little plug there. I want to talk about a little thing we're going to be releasing today as well. I was going to do a little plug at the end, but I feel like this is the perfect segue into this, is that our national IMW workshop is going to be happening in Perth this year. So that is where we do a huge in-person workshop where mob from all around Australia will come, and we have training from people from AWS, and last year we had people from NASA, Geoscience Australia, all of the above. So that's going to be in Boorloo this year. And the expression of interest for that have also opened. So that is also on our website today as well. So definitely go check that out and have a little look. And in that workshop in person, we'll also be talking about drones. So you'll have some in-person training for drones at the workshop. Yeah. Andrew?
Yeah, sorry, Cass. I was just seeing Steve's question in the chat.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that we're most passionate about, Steve, is the 3D modeling and the photogrammetry space. We find that when we talk to people about drones, usually the discussion is about taking photos or pretty sunsets or videos of kind of bits of country. But we are very passionate about drones as a mapping tool, and to build, the ortho mosaic, so stitching photos together so that you have a really high resolution map of a bit of country is really what we teach. So what we would like people to do is like get through the drone courses, get on to getting a certified license. But once that's done, that's where we feel the real work begins with drones. And 3D modeling is, I think, one of the most exciting spaces for mob because people see country in 3D, and to be able to build your own models of country with drones is, I think, it's one of the greatest kind of tools that we've seen for elders to kind of talk about country and engage with younger people in the tech space as well. So yeah, I'm just reading like Brett's, hi Brett, the cool stuff about virtual terrain, and yeah, that is definitely the place where we want to push people. We think that that's the most useful thing for drones. And yes, we all like pretty sunsets and beautiful bits of sort of photos of country, but we really feel that drones are mapping tools. So that's where our courses end up, and it's the work that we love the most.
Cool. Thank you. Just before I jump into you, Cassie, I just want to answer Sylvia's question.
So that was I put my hand up for, was that one, because it's getting missed. I was like, can we go back up to it?
That's right. We definitely don't want to miss anyone out. So acronyms, yes, I definitely feel you. When I first joined Winyama, I had no idea what anyone was talking about. I stepped in and people started talking about things like 3D modeling and all kinds of business that I had no clue. So I'm actually going to pass that question to Yukio and River to explain what some of these acronyms are.
Sure. Which ones were those?
So what is QGIS? Can you tell me what QGIS is?
It's yeah. Well, I know what the acronym is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Q is. What's the Q?
Well, like what is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, fair enough. QGIS is like it's a geographic information system. That's what that is. You use it to like basically make 2D maps. I think you can do 3D. I don't know how that.
But it's the online version. It's not the online version.
So it's basically an open source version of a geospatial platform. So we have things like Google Earth, which is a beginner subset of mapping products. And it's open source. And what open source means is that it's essentially free for people to use. So that's what QGIS is. If we wanted a little bit of an explanation on that, it's essentially just a platform for you to do mapping with. I think the best person to explain ODM is probably Tim.
But just before Tim goes,
Yeah.
Tim, your question, Brett's question that was there is probably a good thing to address with Web ODM. He's asking, 3D virtual terrain building. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so ODM is Open Drone Map, which is an open source photogrammetry software. If you've never heard of photogrammetry before, basically a process where you pass in an imagery data set. So these can be photos that you take with a mobile phone. They can also be photos that you take with a drone, just super relevant for drone mapping. And you throw it into a model. So think AI, but yeah, basically like a model that's going to have a look at all of your photos. It's going to have a look at the related information, such as the EXIF data in photos, which is like the coordinates of where it was on the Earth. And it's going to stitch them together into one big canvas, which you can then use as a map. So if you've ever looked at Google Earth and you've looked at satellite imagery before, how it's like one giant big photo, how you can zoom in, very similar to that, except it's your own and you own it. So if you were to fly a drone 100 meters up in the air, point the camera straight down and take a whole bunch of photos over an area, you could stitch all of those together with photogrammetry and make your own custom base map that you could then bring in to some software where you're doing some cartography and building a map, such as QGIS, and make yourself a really awesome, detailed and up-to-date map, rather than having to rely on satellite imagery or other imagery services from elsewhere. And just to really quickly address that question from Brett, we do have a serverless solution that's quite accessible. It's using the open source Open Drone Map, and it's a solution you can just deploy onto AWS if you have your own account. If you're interested, please hit me up. I'm just so keen for people to get on it because although AWS does cost you for what you use, the way that this solution works in particular with the serverless concepts, it's really, really affordable and super competitive against other platforms that offer photogrammetry, such as Pix4D and Drone Deploy. So if you guys are interested, please email me and I promise I'll get back to you immediately.
Thanks, Tim. And I also know that in a little bit of some of those explanations, there were probably more words that were a bit tricky to understand in a couple of those explanations. But the best part of all of this is that our modules on IMW On Demand will actually explain all of those. We have glossaries that have basically definitions of each one that's accessible as well. So when you're going through the program, if there's ever a word that comes up that you just don't understand, then that's on the glossary for you to source as well. Grady did a great job of helping us out with the drone one as well, because there's a lot of terminology in drones that can be quite confusing, but that's all covered when you do the course. We've got a couple questions from the same person about is fulcrum in one of the modules and a date for the national workshop. The date for the national workshop is going to be in September of this year. It's going to be the first week, so the 2nd of September to the 6th of September. It's going to be great. So definitely keep your calendars locked in for that time. And for the use of fulcrum, that is actually one that we were talking about just yesterday. So we don't currently have it at the moment as an IMW course, but we do have it for our in-person workshops, but not for our online learning. But we're looking at developing that up, and I can see Andrew has unmuted, so he has something to say.
We've seen there's a lot of adoption of fulcrum out in the Indigenous Ranger program. So we have been teaching it, like Cass said, in-person workshops, and we're really keen to develop our fulcrum courses. So yes, that will be very soon, guys. So yeah, just bear with us.
Cool. And then another one was from Wand. So Basically, our courses are definitely a really good thing to have on your resume for employment in that area. It's specifically designed for professional development and to helping you kind of break into that industry when you don't have the experience. So they're definitely a good starting spot for you to gain the knowledge in that area to be able to do mapping of Aboriginal heritage. So I actually was just up in Cervantes not that long ago, and it was great. We had a great time up there. And then how much does a drone cost? That's a Grady question.
Cool. Yep. So drones can be a little bit expensive, but by no means do you have to spend a whole bucket of money to get started. If you wanted to start off doing mapping with drones, you could probably get a good drone that'll get you started about $500. So it's still a little bit of an investment, but it's not too high as some of the prices can go. Starting with those drones, they definitely have a little bit less ability than some of the more expensive ones. You kind of expect that. That's what you get when you're paying for the bigger ones. But if you wanted to step up from one of those, you could definitely get something that would help you out with mapping and have some of the software on board for automated flights for around about $1,000 to $1,500. So it definitely is a bit of an investment, but by no means do you have to go there from the start. If you want to get started a little bit cheaper, you can get one of the mini drones that start at about $500, and that'll get you started flying, taking images, and also with all the stuff you'll need to kind of develop your skills as a pilot. There's not too much difference in being a pilot for a small drone and a big drone, just that it changes size. So definitely starting with some of those $500 drones is a good way to go. But from there, the sky's the limit. You could go up to about $1,500, which will get you some of the pro tools. From there, they have RTK and more advanced stuff that will start at about $4,000. But by no means do you need to invest that from the start. You can start for definitely a little bit less at about $500.
And also a good point in all of that as well is that if you're working for a ranger group that is doing this work on country, they're likely going to buy that for their organization for you to use already anyway. All right, then there's it's not a question, but it's just a really cool insight into the projects that they're doing with tracking turtles and dugong. So that's just an insight there for you, Tim, if you wanted to mention anything on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's another really great use case for imagery as well. Instead of just using it for a map, if you can capture some really high resolution imagery of your own personal projects, such as maybe you're looking in the water for some dugongs, you could definitely run that through a model which can detect those for you. I know Google Earth Engine has quite a few models just off the shelf that you can just use, but there's always scope to develop your own as well.
Cool, thank you. And then September fire season, definitely. We've kept it in mind. It's a bit of a tricky time to pick a workshop date because of trying to pick the location and everything like that. But hopefully everyone will still be able to make it, and we've picked a suitable time to get all of you mob there.
I'll just add also with the September date. Yeah, it is. You're right. It's hard to pick the right time for a workshop. But what I would say with our workshops, we really try and concentrate on, like, in particular, Indigenous ranger groups or like the native title orgs or Aboriginal heritage organisations. Like, try not to send everyone. We only really want to work very closely with the guys who are interested in tech and who maybe are leaning over the shoulder of someone who's doing GIS for you, or just the guys, the people who have like a spark in their eye around tech. Sometimes people send all of their ranger group or the whole cohort of their team, when there's actually only one or two who really are interested in our workshops. So I know September will be close to fire season, but if you have a big group of people, just think about the techie in them, and that's who we like to for you to send to us. So just bear that one in mind too.
Cool. And then we've got please explain drone fly regulation, zone regulations, rural, like urban, etc. from Sylvia. And that is definitely a Grady question. I think we cover that in the new course, but you get a sneak peek.
Yep, we definitely do. So the easiest way to break down where we can fly is to have a look at those regulations. First step in that is usually having a look at weight of the drone. So if we're flying a larger drone, that can impact where we can fly. And usually in Australia, we'll only think of it in two ways. Is it smaller than 2 kilograms or above 2 kilograms? So from a weight perspective, it's pretty easy. But that leads us into flight space, so airspaces that we have. In Australia, and around the world, there are a couple of different classifications. But the main three to think about would be C, D, and G. And just as an idea, really all that means is who do we have operating that airspace? So you might have something like a C-class airspace, which we have a large amount of C-class airspace in the middle of Earth. And really what that tells us as pilots is that means there are going to be other people flying aircraft here. And so we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that. So when we look at those airspace classifications, usually it's based on how much air traffic we'll have in an environment and who will be monitoring and managing that airspace. So if we were to fly in a C-class, we might need to talk to someone, and we might also need to be aware that we'll have other people flying there too. Apart from that, you'll get PRD zones, and that's just an idea of sometimes we can't go into a certain area because maybe they have some dangerous activities going on. So if you wanted to fly over a mine site where they're doing blasting, they would label that and let you know that, okay, for today, it's probably a little bit too dangerous to go there. And there's a whole management system behind that as well to make sure that information gets out there to people and that they know what those things mean. So we'll definitely cover a lot more of that in the course, but as a main kind of takeaway, best way to look at it is if it's a different class of airspace, it probably means there are more people flying there. So we need to be more conscious of fitting into that system and ensuring that everyone's safe. And sometimes it'll just be a case of maybe it's a bit too dangerous out there today. Maybe they've got some blasts going on or something like that to let us know to stay out of that area as well. So mostly, yeah, just safety, really. And that's how we classify it.
Cool. Thank you. So Patricia's got a question about our QGIS course and our workshops. So do you provide sample data to use, or do participants bring their own sample data? I work in health and I'm interested in learning more about the courses for professional development. So who would like to answer that question? Andrew.
I can, yeah. We do provide sample data in the courses. So we like to take, the way the courses work is that we all download the same data and then we all step through the steps for doing analysis and layering and styling and stuff. So it just makes it really uniform for the learners. If everyone brought their own data, it'd be a little bit more chaotic in terms of trying to keep the cohort and people all together. So yeah, we provide the data for you, and then what we hope is that you learn those principles of where the different toolbars are and how you analyze your data, and then you go back to your data sets and try and follow along, do the same. So yeah, hope that answers that.
Awesome. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Steve, do you have any information packs describing the courses I can send out to community here? I sure do, most definitely. So me and my team will be sending out a heap of information with the link and everything like that for you. So please do share to your community. We really want to spread the word of our program. It's free and it's designed by mob for mob. So I will definitely pass that on and make sure you get an information pack to go out to community. Thank you for sharing. Cool. And then we've got, can drones fly over people's backyards, and where are the drone free zones? So that is a great question for Grady.
Cool. So that's actually a really good question, because often we have that question at the start, where can we fly and how do we know if someone's doing something they can't? So in Australia, yes, we can fly over other people's properties, and drone-free zones are often managed based on permissions. So the easiest way to look at it is certain areas will be blocked off, and you won't have permission to fly there based on risk. So the easiest ones to point to are airports. We can't fly around airports because we're going to have a lot of low-flying aircraft already, engaged in taking off and landing, and we've got to make sure that we fit into that. So a lot of the time when we have no-fly zones for drones, we're talking about areas around other air traffic that might be a little bit sensitive at the time, and also very public spaces where we can't maintain safety. If we have a drone and we're going to fly it somewhere like Elizabeth Quay out here just near the office, we might have a lot of people walking around. And if we have the drone very close, it turns into a bit of a dangerous situation where we need to make sure that we can avoid all of that. So permissions for no-fly zones essentially come down to people and permissions. And permission is often given for your takeoff and landing site. So in regards to flying over people's backyards, you can't fly and look in their windows. It's a bit of just privacy and making sure that we look out for everyone else. but you can fly over other land, but you do need permission for the land you take off the land. So if you were to take off and land in someone's backyard, you'd need permission from the whoever holds the rights or the owner of the property. But if you were to take off in a different piece of land and fly over someone's backyard, you're well within your right to do so.
That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, when you think about drones, you think of them as these little aircrafts that are kind of fun and playful and really interactive, but they have a lot of usage when working out on country. And the bigger the drone, like the more I guess risk that can be involved, because they get pretty heavy. They've got big propellers and all of that kind of stuff. So you just have to think about, when you're flying a drone, where are you flying it? Are you going to accidentally fly into someone, and what would happen? You know, like, I don't think anyone wants to be walking through the street and get knocked out by a drone. So that's just kind of what those rules are in place for. Cool. So can allies do the on-demand course, or is it priority for mob only? So that's a really great question. All our courses are application based, and most certainly priority is mob only. But if you are working directly within the Indigenous land estate, you can submit an application and it will be assessed. But in that case, we do recommend that if, let's say, you are an ally working in a ranger group, is there an Aboriginal person within your organisation that would benefit from this training that you would like to recommend to put forward? The other part of it is if you're an ally and you're working as a ranger coordinator, you can apply to do the program and then put your Indigenous rangers through it as well. So that's kind of the way we work through that. So the option is there, but we just do have some restrictions because it is specifically designed for mob, and priority is given to that there. Yep.
Yeah, I would just add, that our if allies are keen to do the training, then we would think about the idea that you would almost like, it's a train the trainer kind of model. So that if you take our training, that we would love you to socialize it with the group that you're working with, and like Cass said, put some of your Indigenous rangers through the training, or help them through it, or even just assess if the training is the right training for your group. We're happy for that to happen. But yeah, it is a application process, and we do read the applications, and we are very keen to keep this mob focused and sort of have a mob first approach to this. So yeah, we're very happy for allies to be part of that approach too. So yeah.
And another option involved in that as well is that if you are working within the Indigenous land estate, and you have a bit of experience in your back pocket, and you want to be an ally for the program and involved in the community, you can reach out to us through our contact us, or even to me directly, and come volunteer with us. So we've got volunteers at our workshop, or even helping put some hours to build course content and stuff like that with us, because we're always looking for people to collaborate with us, and that would be a really awesome opportunity to get involved.
Yeah, actually, just to add to that, we've mentioned that we do our big national workshops in Perth, and we've done them around the country. So we've done Melbourne and Sydney before, but we have the ability to do regional workshops, and that's where allies really come are really valuable. We'd love to be attracted to a region, and for the allies who maybe work within different organizations to kind of work with us to be trainer assistants, or even lead some of our training alongside us. If allies find our training too easy, you're probably not you're probably not the right demographic. It's kind of, we really want mob to be on the computer clicking away, mob to be in front of the computer. So yeah, we want allies to be behind them, not the other way around. So yeah, our regional workshops is another great way to interact with us if you're allies and you're keen to drive a deeper engagement with us.
And I guess the good part of that as well, in that engagement is also what Steve mentioned earlier, is that share the word. If you know people are in the community that would like to participate or could potentially participate, let them know. Share our website and have a little look around and see who it could be useful for. Next question is, anyone from Dundaragan Shire doing this course? That is a great question, and I would have to look it up in our records to be able to tell you. So I can't tell you right now, but for all I know, you could be the first one, so you should apply. Then we've got Brett, who says, I have over 50 projects. Oh, goodness me, you do more work than I do. Covering terrains aligned to cities and regional towns. Love to integrate these into multi-user, 3D, immersive, and interactive cultural time portal. What a cool project. Oh my goodness, that sounds wicked. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to suggest or mention on that?
I'd say, Brett, can we have a chat? We'd love to do that work with you. So yeah, can we get in touch?
Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, I think that's also another part of Winyama that we haven't really mentioned, because obviously this is all about you guys, but we also do consulting on projects and stuff like that. So people like Tim, Grady, and eventually River and Yukio, who have started to put their little toes in the water of that, will be working on projects to help get them through the line. So reach out to Andrew. Then we've got another final question, I think, because we're about to wrap up soonish, but I think we've got time for a couple more if anyone has some. You've completed Cert 3 in Tourism for Cultural Guiding and helping map places that are not properly recorded. Is this course for me? And explain a project. 100% this course could be for you. I think you could definitely, if you're mapping places for cultural guidance and doing cultural tours and all of that, etc., something like our Google Earth Pro course could be really good for you. It just really depends on how in depth into that mapping that you want to go. But for sure, what you would be able to do and learn from our courses is, one, how to keep that data safe once you've collected it through deadly data, and especially if it's cultural. There might be things that you're storing that are really private, like it could be men's business, women's business, or just storylines, etc. So just how to keep that safe. And then something like our Google Earth Pro course would be a perfect spot for you to just be able to map certain locations and map a tour that you would do, a cultural tour through, I think it was Cervantes that you mentioned, etc. So yeah, definitely, it definitely could be a space for you. Then we're interested in cultural mapping. Do you know any mob who have mapped cultural and ecological values going towards a healing country plan? Andrew, jump in.
Yeah, we love cultural mapping at Winyama. It's something we've done for years. But what I would say is, if you get onto the On Demand platform and do the Google Earth courses, we show cultural mapping and the process that we use for that. So I would begin there to build up your own skills and your language about how you might approach a cultural mapping project. And if that doesn't give you enough, then yeah, you can always reach out to us. We're currently doing cultural mapping projects across WA. So yeah, we give you plenty of advice and direction, or even interact on a project if you thought that was cool.
So what's involved with the allies helping with Winyama? So I'm actually going to go a little bit rogue, and I'm going to ask one of our allies in the team to give a little bit of their kind of input there. So I'm going to ask Franzi or Amelia to put their hand up towards this, and I know that they're going to hate me later, but I think they're the perfect people to give a little to bump.
I'm happy to jump in.
Cool.
So what's the question? Is it just how I got involved with Winyama?
Well, it's what's involved with allies helping with Winyama. So how do allies get involved? How did you get involved? What do you do?
what would you recommend other allies to do at Winyama?
Sure. I mean, I'll start with my personal story of getting hired at Winyama. I was actually helping a friend out. She's Indigenous and she's an artist, and we were going to, I've forgotten now. Anyway, it was like very close to the office that Winyama was at, and I saw them hiring. They were looking for a marketing person. I said I was like across the road. And yeah, I don't know, Andrew and the marketing manager at the time thought it was a good fit. I had a little bit of a background volunteering with Miss NAIDOC as well. And then, yeah, I just finished my marketing degree as well. So I was looking for a full-time role. Yeah, so that's me. And then if you're an ally looking to get involved, we send out like a volunteer application. When we come up to the nationals, we'll be looking for volunteers. So that's a really good opportunity to sign up. And if you don't actually have to have technical background. Like you could volunteer as like a logistics person, because I'm not a technical person at all. I will be like running the logistics. I'll be helping out with catering and helping out with the presentation. So yeah, if you don't have the technical background, don't count yourself out, I would say. Yeah, that's it from me. If Amelia has anything, feel free to jump in.
Thank you very much, covered it. I think Winyama as well is just so supportive, that joining the team, there was so many resources as well that we were able to read up on.
Thank you. And I think as well, everyone that has volunteered at our workshop, they really kind of see that essence of giving back. The whole point of our program is to bridge that digital divide, because we know from the statistics and the data that there is currently inequality between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people in the digital space. So if you have the passion to support mob, and I hope that you do, if you're here, then surely you do. There are so many ways that you can contribute, like Franzi said, even if it's coming down, helping us do the catering to keep our mob fed while we're doing intensive training. You know, it's great. There's so many opportunities, and the possibilities are endless. Is there a scar tree mapping recognition in WA?
I'll take that.
Yep.
I don't know, to tell you the truth, Wand. I couldn't tell you if we have that. I'm guessing there'd be some AI models that you could run over the top of high quality imagery from drones. But yeah, we don't teach it on the on-demand platform. But we would love to. We would love to know if that is out there. If there was anyone in the call that knew. Sorry, don't have any more info on that one.
All right. That's pretty much really it. I think we're wrapping up almost. There's an answer there that says Polycam can do scar trees, so that's something to note. So there we go. Thanks. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for all of your questions. And I'm just gonna run it down and pass it over to Andrew to say the final wrap up.
Oh, thanks. Okay, Cass. Yeah, thanks so much, everyone. We're coming to the end of the event, and I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who stayed on the call to see it all the way through to the end. It was awesome to have so many people join from all over Australia, and obviously, please think about coming to our national workshop. Online training is great, and it's always nice to kind of do self-directed stuff, but our in-person training is kind of where the big energy is, and we love seeing people in person. So I'd really encourage you to apply. So to do that, you've got to get on our website, winyama.com.au. And obviously, yeah, you'll still gain a lot from online learning, and we think it's you know, it's an awesome thing if people are self-directing too and taking their first steps. And when they come to our in-person workshops, you know, they get even more from it. So thank you all for attending, and you'll hear from us soon about our events coming up this year. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Cass.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hey.